7% yes.
Last week, Ye claimed that he never read a book, but based on his conversation with our Lindsay Davis, he's at least read parts of the Bible. Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, doesn't give many interviews, but he recently sat down for more than an hour with Lindsay, where he talked about everything from co-parenting with Kim Kardashian, his brand battles, the private school he opened, and his future in politics.
The spotlight has followed the artist formerly known as Kanye West for nearly 20 years, at times illuminating him as one of the greatest creatives of all time. But the light of scrutiny also shines just as brightly, with many critical of his occasional outbursts on social media.
And so social media, you feel, is that more hurtful or beneficial to you?
That's one of my favorite questions this interview. I mean, we can use a car to rush somebody to the hospital, or we could use a car and accidentally hit somebody while we're rushing somebody to the hospital. So it's all in how we use it.
Now, back up off my family, move your hands. And that's how he uses social media, as a vehicle to amplify his voice, something he says he's also had to do in order to successfully co-parent with his ex-wife, Kim Kardashian. The couple's focus on their children was evident in the first season of The Kardashians.
No matter what we're going through, I always want my kids to be around their dad as much as possible and just to have their mornings with dad and get dropped off at school.
This is the mother of my children, and I apologize for any stress that I have caused, even in my frustration, because God calls me to be stronger. But also, ain't nobody else finna be causing no stress either. I need this person to be least stressed and the best sound mind and as calm as possible to be able to raise those children at the end of the day.
Do you feel you have a voice as you're co-parenting now?
I do have a voice, but I had to fight for it. There's this thing that's like, that hurts you when you have to like scream about what your kids are wearing, or or you have to say it like a million times over. And it's just little nuances where there was a parallel to what was happening at Gap, what was happening at Adidas, and what was happening in my home. It was all a kind of a disregard for the voice of something that I co-created. I co-created the children. I co-created the product at Adidas. I co-created the product at Gap. And I let everybody know that there's actually a through line, there's a parallel. And the parallel does touch on discrimination.
Even within your marriage?
Yeah, I want my kids to go to Donda, and I have to fight for a say-so, because they're just programmed. It's just like, hey, all the kids are going to Sierra Canyon. No, I'm their dad. Like, it has to be co-parenting. It's not up to only the woman. Like, men have a choice also. Men's voices matter.
Donda Academy is a private school he created, named after his late mother, Donda West.
Donda Academy. Give me a sense of why you decided you wanted to create a school and what the mission is of the school.
It's a gospel school, so we spread the gospel. The kids sing gospel, and to build a school that gives kids practical tools that they need in a world post the iPhone being created. And that would be farming, going from seed to community, engineering for shelters, like just learning practical skills like carpentry, like stuff that they don't teach as much.
Ye considers himself a visionary, not just in music or education, but in the world of fashion, recently turning to Twitter to post the termination of his Yeezy brand collaboration with Gap as he remains in an ongoing legal battle with Adidas to receive full ownership of his line.
The Gap provided a statement to ABC News tonight saying in part, "We are confident we have been in compliance with the terms of our agreement since the outset, and we will continue to work amicably to unwind it. Above all, We wish Ye well.
You did use social media to show all the restrictions that Adidas and Gap have put on you. So how do you move forward now in the fashion industry when they're saying you can't even not only show Yeezy products, but anything bearing that likeness?
Oh, we got some new lawyers. We really had to level up and really show them who's the new boss in town, that I'm the boss of me. I'm no longer just the man riding the top of the polo horse. I'm not just the mascot in the middle of games, getting the crowd hyped up saying, hey, wear this, do this, but, just learn, financial engineering, learn how to really run a company. I had this New Year's resolution that I was only going to talk to people who listen to me.
He now plans to sell the Yeezy brand directly to consumers, something he argued about with radio host Sway back in 2013.
Or why don't you empower yourself and don't need them and do it yourself?
How, Sway?
Take a few steps back to go.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers.
This one's gonna get me in trouble, all right? So Sway, almost 10 years ago, said, man, why don't you do it on your own? Was he right?
You know what? I will go ahead and say Sway had the answer. I know people are gonna be like, no.
And Ye, who ran for president in 2020, says his days in politics are not over.
Do you have future political aspirations?
Yes, absolutely. The aspirations, it's that time wasn't in God's time. I'm sure there's lives that were saved. I'm sure God had me fall on the sword and say, this is not the time. But, he's a redeemer.
Fascinating, and be sure to tune in for much more of Lindsay's conversation with Ye in a half-hour special tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 Pacific, right here on ABC News.